What's up guys, Phoenix here. This video is going to be another Majespecter deck profile, and this time it is going to be on my own personal Majespecter build, or rather Majespecter Performage build. Now, I played with this deck on a duel video a couple days back, and I had done in my previous deck profile, I had said that I wasn't going to be giving you guys the list for my own personal build anytime soon, at least that I thought of, because I didn't expect to get to a point where I was 100% happy with how the deck was performing this quickly. But I've been doing a lot of testing, been drawing a lot of conclusions, testing a lot of theories, things like that, and I've gotten to the point where if there's a YCS level event this very weekend, I would 99% be confirmed taking this exact deck list. 1% obviously for varying factors that may come up literally the day before the event happens, but basically damn near 100% positive I'd be playing this exact same deck list at a YCS level event if there was one this weekend. Unfortunately, there's no YCS level events for North America until after Bosch and the Magician Pendulum structure deck come out in January. The very next YCS level event for us is in February, which is YCS Atlanta, which is in my hometown. So if you're going to that, definitely try to hit me up when you're there. I'll be there all 3 days, and definitely just come and have a chat, hang out, and do whatever. You might end up going to dinner with me and some of my friends. Who knows, because I know a lot of good places around the Atlanta area to go and get some good food. But regardless of that, this is it's basically just a Majespecter Performage build that I think to be very standard, but there are a lot of things in here that I'm doing myself that I haven't seen other people be doing, and I don't quite understand why. But anyway, I'm just going to do the deck list real quick, and then I'll probably circle back for explanations. But triple Bunbuku, triple Fox, double Crow, and double Cat, just for a 10 monster Majespecter count. I wanted at least two of every pendulum monster in the deck, just so that there was always a card that could be popped and added off of Luster Pendulum. Now, obviously, this is a proxy for the third Luster Pendulum. It is en route to my place of residence. I've just been borrowing one from someone every time I want to play this deck, or just proxying it if I'm playing with friends. The third one is on its way. I just didn't have it in time to make this video. But this is basically like the best card in the deck. Every time you open Luster Pendulum and you're able to pop any of your Majespecter cards, just fueling another card in the Extractor Pendulum summon, or just being able to use it with Snow Cone, makes it very, very high impact in what you can do with your plays. One Archphoenix Centric, because I didn't want it to clog with two of it. Its scale being 7 is hardly ever relevant because it just pops itself. And this was the one card in the deck that you don't have to have two of to pop with Luster Pendulum, because it can pop itself out of the Pendulum Zone. So, like, that was that. I just wanted two of every Pendulum monster at least, like I said before, for the Luster Pendulum interaction, to fuel the extra deck a bit more, and as well as to be able to clear awkward scales. Like if I had to put a Mirror Conductor in a scale, and then next turn I draw like a Fox or something, I wanted to be able to clear that Mirror Conductor out, or at least have the potential to, and then put the Fox there so that I can Pendulum my 3s out as well. Just factors like that. But for the Performage engine, triple Plush Fire, or aka Snow Cone, double Mirror Conductor for the reason I just stated, just being able to pop it. And also, I like to abuse Magister Paladin in this build. This is usually the first card I get off of Plush Fire's effect, just so that I can like make Magister Paladin and add in the end phase, depending on what the situation is. But most of the time I get this card because like it's also just really good to have it on field, on board against like Cosmos. The Cosmo matchup just becomes easier if this card is out, because you can swap the attack and defense of like Farm Girls and stuff like that. All in all, it just makes a lot of sense to leave this card on board in that matchup. But then 2 Damage Juggler and 1 Hat Tricker. I'm not playing Trick Clown just because the Pendulum mechanic seems to kind of replace it. I had Trick Clown in the build initially, but I just ended up cutting it because it was almost never like worthwhile to me. Like I never really liked it. So I put the second Mirror Conductor in place of it instead, because the entire Pendulum mechanic, as soon as you get any number of level 4s going in your Pendulum, zone and extra deck and all that nonsense, that basically is the same interaction as a Trick Clown once per turn. Now, of course, Pendulum summoning a Trick Clown out of your hand is pretty cool as well, because that's just 2 level 4s. But it just didn't seem worth it to me. It might go back in, but as of right now, I've been fine without it. But Hat Tricker, I've been enjoying playing a lot, because it's almost like the 6th Pendulum monster, or it's like the 6th monster that you can Pendulum summon a turn. It's really strange. It's really cool. Like, you can Pendulum 5 and have one of those be like a Damage Juggler that you got like off Plush Fire or something like that, and then once you clear your zone by synchroing up or seizing up, you can then banish the Damage Juggler and get Hat Tricker and summon it. So that makes your Pendulum Summons allow you to have 6 monsters instead of 5. So it's basically just like, it's literally just the 6th monster that gets, for the Pendulum Summon. For like the massive Pendulum Summon board, like ending game boards. It just kind of does that general purpose nonsense. And I just like the fact, I don't like drawing it. I definitely don't like hard drawing it. I definitely want to search off Damage Juggler 100% of the time, because it just feels like such a minus to actually draw, because it's basically just a vanilla. But I really like it. I really like the one hatch trigger. But that's 22 monsters. For spells, I'm playing triple Majesty's Pegasus, and I'm playing 1 Chicken Game, and then triple Terraforming. I wanted to OD on this field spell, because this field spell gives you so much advantage. All of its effects are relevant. The attack boost is relevant. Being able to pop it to basically access Bunbunku, or whatever name you're missing, is incredibly relevant. Like, this card just allows you to play through things negating Pendulum Summons. As long as you have 1 Majespecter card still to your name, by your next turn it becomes another full extra deck of cards to Pendulum out. And the fact that it, you know, increases attack is very relevant in like the Cosmo matchups and stuff like that. But it's a field spell that you want to see 100% of the time, and like, it's definitely probably the best card in the Majespecter engine in terms of pool of cards. I wish it was a Majespecter card so you could search it off of Crow, but I mean, as far as it not being able to be searched off Crow, I guess that's alright. But you basically, I'm running this little engine for a lot of overlap. The 1 Chicken Game, triple Terraforming, and triple Majesty's Pegasus. Now, you only ever really want to see one of this, and if you draw one, the chances are higher that you'll see Terraforming or Chicken Game before you see a second copy of Majesty's Pegasus. I can't remember the exact percentages that I came up with off the top of my head doing calculations for it, but it's definitely a lot more likely for you to see any of these 4 cards than it is for you to see these 2 if you already drew 1 Majesty's Pegasus. And also, you can just draw hands like double Terraforming, and that turns into another card off Chicken Game and then Majesty's Pegasus. I was originally doing 2 Majesty's Pegasus and 2 Chicken Game with 3 Terraforming, but I cut the Chicken Game for the 3rd Pegasus because I was getting into a lot of situations in hands where I would draw one of the Chicken Games just straight. I'd play it, and I would be literally just trying to draw Terraforming or Majesty's Pegasus so that I could play it over the Chicken Game and let my opponent not get a plus. So I cut the Chicken Game down to 1 just because I was just like, if I draw it, cool, but I have a much higher chance of getting to any of these 6 cards, and then, you know, just allowing it to make plays happen in that regard. I just really like the fact that, like, you can just put 1 Chicken Game in with all these, like, field spells in decks like this, and basically make it to where you can play the max amount of the field spell. But then if you ever open like doubles in this way, that Terraforming just becomes an additional card. That Terraforming just turns into Upstart Goblin in that situation. I really like that. And it's a little bit of overlap that I try to build into like every single one of my strategies that involve field spell reliant decks. Or this deck's not really field spell reliant per se, but like, this is definitely the 2nd best card in the deck outside of Luster Pendulum, because it basically does what Luster Pendulum does. Sure, you have to draw a Majespecter card to use it, but I mean, your entire deck's purpose is to get to those cards. So, I mean, I don't know what's going on if you're not using Majespecter cards. I'm only playing 1 Cyclone, just because this card is very lackluster, and like, Tornado just does this card's job better. I'm only playing 1 just because I never want to actually hard draw it, and I just want to search it off Crow. I'm playing double Crow and only 1 of this, just because Crow being a 4 is relevant, and also I just want to keep my Majespecter names up. And it's also like a scale 5, which is kind of relevant sometimes. But it definitely being level 4 is the most relevant thing. But I just wanted to have the possibility to get like 1+1 off of the Crow into searching this. But it's basically like just the other trap, but it's definitely the worst in terms of the chainable cards. Like between this and Tornado, this is the worst one. You could up this to 2. I'm considering siding the 2nd one, just because I've got some very weird side patterns, like siding decrees and stuff that I've been testing with the specific build. But overall, I've been happy with 1. Storm is absolutely awful because it's not quick play. If it was quick play, it would probably be better than, it would definitely be better than this. But Tornado and Tempest, the pink cards, are definitely just the better ones. I'm maining triple Wavering Eyes because I'm playing a really high Pendulum monster count, so this card is actually just good even if I'm not playing against Pendulum-based matchups myself. But if I just play this and like, it allows me to clear my scales, fuel my extra deck, and then get to like Luster Pendulum and stuff like that. It's basically the 6th copy, the extra 3 copies of Luster Pendulum. You can do just different plays where like you can clear your scale of like snow cones and stuff like that. There's a lot of different interactions this card has that makes it really good in the main deck of this particular build. But then it's just like your main decking side deck cards if you are playing against a Pendulum based matchup. And I really like that. I think that's really neat. This card is absolutely unfair if you're playing any sort of pendulum-based matchup, and I have videos that attest to that, so I'm not going to go into that any further because I could rant for literal years on why I don't think this card should stay at 3 for very long. But that's the spells. There are 11 of them. Yeah, 22 monsters, 11 spells, and 7 traps. For traps, Triple Tempest, just because it's the best card, and especially in like mirror matches and stuff, it's the only live card that you can search, unless like you're playing a Performage, Majespecter mirror, in which case the other cards become live because of the other cards. But you're increasing your output ceiling just to make yourself, but you put yourself more at risk of these other cards, but you're increasing your output ceiling, so it's more risk but also more reward, just going in hand with that. But only 2 tornado. Again, because you don't want your hands to be really clogged with these cards. There's only 6 of the searchable spells and traps in this entire deck. You don't want your hands to be clogged with them, because if your opening hand is clogged with these cards rather than cards that could search these cards, less of them are going to be live. Like, say you open a hand of like Tornado, Tempest, Cyclone, and a Bunbunku. Only one of these cards is realistically going to be live, because you only have like the Bunbunku realistically that you can summon off of that situation. Whereas if you play a lesser number of these cards, and you then have, you know, other monsters in your hand that can like facilitate pendulum summons and stuff like that, cards to get you to Majesty's Pegasus, all of these cards, like, it allows you the potential play to search up to 3 of these cards anyway. Like, if you have just like one of them, you can search Tornado and Cyclone and have them all 3 set, and then you can also have the potential of having those 3 cards be live. It's just better overall in the long run of things to just have more engine cards in your hand. But the last 2 traps are Torrential and Warning. Torrential is just a generically good card, a good board wipe card for when, like, when you have all of your cards, like, baited out and you don't have any more Majespecters on the field. Torrential is just really clutch. Warning is obviously just, like, the best card that mirrors Majespecter Tempest. There's just a lot of things that go into that. But it's only a 7-card trap lineup, and thus the deck has a bigger, like, output ceiling. It's really weird. This deck plays really weird, and it's very refreshing. It plays kind of like, I guess I could say it plays like Satel, or like Yugioh on turn 1, if you didn't like open Busted, where like you're searching traps and you're setting them and you're playing like a small deck. But then on your next turn, on turn 2 forward, if you have your pendulum resources set up and all that stuff, you stopped your opponent with the traps that you searched on turn 1, then you just start playing like a really big deck. You basically like shift into playing like Shadal or BA. It's very, very interesting and very refreshing. I really like the deck because of that. But for the extra deck, 2 copies of Ignister Prominence and 1 copy of Magister Paladin. I'm thinking about upping this to 2 just because I like to make it turn 1. And if you make it turn 1 and then it dies, obviously you can't do the 2 Ignister OTK anymore. Because basically once you make the first one of this, it gets you the other Luster Pendulum out of the deck. That also becomes 1 material more to make this. And then this can bring the Luster Pendulum that you synchroed into the first Ignister out of your extra deck. Thus, if you have another level 4 on the board, you can then make this. So you can basically just make all 3 of these at the same time, starting, you know, going 1, 2, 3 in terms of what you're summoning and clearing 2 cards, and it's already really close to an OTK. Like, pretty much, I think every monster, any monster in this deck that you could draw, even Cat, if you have the field spell up, is like an OTK at that point. But there's just a lot of things that go into that. I don't really want to get into any farther into detail about that. I think running a second of these might be worth for this specific build, simply because if you don't have any like Majespecter cards, or if you have like a really weak Majespecter hand, but you open like Luster Pendulum and Plush Fire, you can easily just make this, and then in the end phase search for the Bunbunku that you're missing and start getting into your Majespecter cards. So it's definitely a thought that might end up happening. Diamond and Tolmaeus just for dark decks. These probably will get cut though, because I never really make them, even when I do play against those decks. 1 Trapeze Magician, 1 Castel, 1 Diamond Dyer. I played this just because there's a very large number of situations, specifically in mirror matches, with this deck, where you can abuse like Plush Fire or Hat Tricker or whatnot, and take advantage of your opponent's weak openings. Like, if they only opened with like 1 Majespecter monster, and they search Tempest. Like, say they had Fox on the board, they searched a Tempest and they set it. Obviously, you don't want a Pendulum Summon there. So, like, Diamond Dyer is just a great card to bait the Tempest out, and then once that Tempest is gone, you can just flood your field with monsters. The only other, like, basic outcome that you could have there would be to, like, summon your own Fox and crash, and then Pendulum main phase 2. But this is something where, like, you can just start sniping scales or do whatever. You can threaten to do all these things, if they had a weak opening, they have to stop this card, and that in turn baits the Tempest, and then you're still in main phase 1, and then you can start setting up a Pendulum Summon with your Majespecter cards, so you didn't have to waste on, you know, on getting Tempested. There's just things like that to play into your thought processes. But one Digesto Emerald, just because occasionally you want to put Pendulums back if they were on Exceeds and fall off. I've never made this card to date yet. Like, it's just in here just like to reuse Hat Tricker, reuse Plush Fire targets, put some Majespecters back, but the games almost never last long enough where this comes up. Maybe in the Magician builds in the future that are a bit more aggressive, and like the mirror matches will be a bit more long in terms of what the decks are capable of doing in terms of their output ceilings. There's a lot of different factors. Again, factors of which I'm not 100% comfortable to talk about right now. One Abyss Dweller. If I cut the Emerald for anything, it would definitely be a second Dweller, because this card comes up so much. But that's just that. One Gaga Cowboy. One Alchemic Magician. This card is absolutely insane. And if you don't have one, you should definitely pick one up, because they are rising in price, because this card is great. And I'm going to just, you know, have an entirely separate video explaining why this card's amazing. But basically, it just lets you set Wavering Eyes from your deck. Like, that's the long and short of it. It's like this. If you open Luster Pendulum and Plush Fire, and you know you're playing a Pendulum matchup, you can literally just like put 3 Spellcasters on the board through the 2 Plush Fire and the Damage Juggler that you'll get off Plush Fire that you popped, and then you can just make this, and then the in-phase whatever card in your hand, you can just detach Damage Juggler for this, so you get a plus off that next turn, and then you set Wavering Eyes from your deck. Like, that's actually just huge. So this card has been steadily going up in price. It used to be $1. It's like $5 or $6 now. You should definitely pick these up if you don't already have one. One Diamond Crab King, just to be something big. Also play, like, if they have a skill drain or lose a turn, this is the card I want to make, because it's 3,000, and it's very hard to get over with a skill drain, lose a turn up with decks that are playing it. And then if it's lose a turn specifically, then you can just turn it to attack mode and have a 3k beater, and that's usually very game changing. But otherwise, I just put it in 3k, have it be a 3k ass, and then just wait with my Pendulum Wall until I can get some form of out to the skill drain / lose 1 turn. But then for the rank 3s, one Acid Golem for the same reason. Skill drain, lose a turn in general. It's usually really hard to get over something that's 3,000 in defense. So with a skill drain up for the decks that play it, because like Cleese, they only have 1 sacrifice, so like that's going to be difficult. There's a lot of factors. I could talk for literal ages on every factor that I put into deck building, but I'm not going to do that, because that would be like an hour-long video. But yeah, this is just another card for skill drain, lose a turn. You can just make it, and then you can just use it to be a beater, and it's usually good. And then Totem Bird. This card is just really cool, really good. Definitely in simplified game states, when your opponent has like 1 or 2 cards, you can just make Totem Bird. More often than not, I've actually found myself making this card before I go into like my big Ignister plays, because these cards don't have the inherent protection from targeting effects like the Majespecters do, and this card just kind of branches that protection out sort of to these cards and ensures like your OTK to go through. I might bump Totem Bird to 2. I'm not 100% positive yet, but I am really liking the card in general, but I've never really seen a need for a second one. But there are definitely cards that I could cut in here. I'm not playing Chimera Tech Fortress Dragon because I'm not really siding Cyber Dragons with this deck. They're just better cards in general. I decide against Cosmo. There's stuff like that, but I'll discuss those in different videos as well. But anyway, as always, guys, thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, do all that nonsense that you usually do. Like the video if you like my content and want to support my channel's growth now, as well as in the future. Links are in the description to both my Facebook pages. If you want to connect with me, chat with me, whatever, definitely check those out. Click an ad if you have not. I'd greatly appreciate it. It helps me make money, and there's no reason to lie to you guys about that. If you have an ad block enabled, do me a favor. Take a couple seconds out of your day, disable your ad block, refresh the video, click an ad or 2, however many you want to do, then put the ad block back on when you're done. It helps me out more than you can ever know, and I would be greatly appreciative of you if that is something you could do. And if you're looking to support me, then that is definitely the most ideal way right now for you to do so. But then again, you don't have to. I'm not going to be able to force you, nor am I in a position to force you, because I can't control your actions through the internet yet. But if you have any questions about this deck or this build in general, leave a comment down below. I'll try to address every single question that I see. Maybe some other people can put their insight in as well, and I'll basically just be like, yeah, this guy's right, or nah. Multiple things that are possible there. If you just have a question, leave a comment down below about the deck, and they will be addressed, hopefully, if I see them. But I read every comment that gets put on my videos. At least I try to. But that is all for this video. Thank you all for your time, and as always, guys, Take care.